This is not the new GT3. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a game changer. When I was young, I always dreamt of putting that amazing race car on the street. The fascination could not be mistaken when someone put a 99X Cup car on the street, making it proper street legal. Oh! Listen to that engine! Braking! Turn into the corner, acceleration. Oh, it stops. Oh, this, ladies and gentlemen, is an extreme fast car. Nothing is different, it could say. Ooh. Turn into the corner. This is crazy, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, no need for car graphics systems. The sound is it is intense. Whew. Okay, I need to slow down. This is crazy fast, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just catch my breath for a second. First of all, the sound, end of story. You don't have to change anything. It screams. It's 9,000 revving screams, just as we used to on the previous GT3. Perfect. Thank you very much. Oof. This is not a driver's car, ladies and gentlemen. This is a race driver's car, a proper race car. Race car it is then, but that also creates a situation where you can make a total fool out of yourself. I'm going to teach you a Swedish word called kladdig. Direct translation is smudgy. Do you think for a second that Damon Hill or Hamilton would select tinted windows, deviated stitching, leather, and on top of that, Bose sound system? This is a kladdig car, or believe it or not, I feel embarrassed driving this car. It feels like Porsche have sold their soul to people that do not understand motorsport products. If you would like the deviated stitching, Bose sound system, all these comfortable nonsense luxurious things, there are better range for the 911. The 992 Turbo will suit you much better. But I understand that your fancy friends at the Michelin restaurants will be impressed of all this nonsense. In my case, well, obviously I'm a petrol head, you will lose my respect. From my point of view, I don't know if you're horny or just need to take a pee.
We all have different dialects in the Porsche religions, and my philosophy is not suited for everybody. If you feel offended, please accept my apology. For me, the options selected need to connect the dots.
Hold me now, tell me things, tell me all about how you feel. Just let yourself go. Say it loud, wake the world on the other side, make it real. Just let yourself go, just let go.
Braking, into the corner, and stop. Into the corner. Oh, this suspension is crazy. It is crazy. Look how the braking is so tight. Ooh. And brake down, into the corner, up for gear. Ooh. B-road drive this is not B-road drive. This is intense. This is crazy by far. Braking. Ooh. I need to put the buckets on. Ooh, this is intense. This is so intense. The chassis, everybody talks about it, but it really, it's a game changer. It really helps the car turn in like nothing else you have driven unless you have been driving a race car, which this is. When it comes to the manual gearbox or not, you see that I'm trying to figure out where I am in that question. It's quite difficult because this car is super fast. I'm not sure I will be handling the manual gearbox in this type of speeds, because remember, the cornering speed is extremely high, which means that the end of the straight is extreme fast, which means that do we have time to address the gearbox at this point? That's where we've ended up with the 992 GT3, ladies and gentlemen. It is no joke. It is a game changer. Sorry for repeating myself. So I would actually reconsider twice when it comes to the gearbox in this car. I think I would option up with a PDK, especially since this is a 100% track car and nothing else, which means that yes, PDK is thumbs up for this vehicle. What is the most important element for a race driver? Confidence. Ask anyone. And let me use Andreas Pröni's explanation of the double wishbone suspension in the front axle. Let's say we're doing knee bends exercise and suddenly someone pushes you. Well, you will lose balance. But with the double wishbones, someone is keeping your balance in the shoulder, making sure that you can handle impacts on the side. That's the key elements with the double wishbone. As a consequence, in Sweden at least, where we have extremely narrow tracks, slow even, that will actually create difficulties for those that arrange the track days, because an average driver will be extremely fast, because this car really gives you confidence to increase the speeds in the corner. And if you, well, I don't want to think about being on the wrong place in the track in the corner with the speeds this car performs, but an average driver will be much faster in this car in comparison to others. This car is super fast, and it feels like, well, everybody understands that we are, well, this is the end of an area of combustion generation, this type of sports car. The new electric generation is, knocking on the door. And I feel sorry for the 991.2 GT3 and GT3 RS, because their car has become extremely old very fast in comparison to the other generation changes. It feels like Porsche has taken a huge step this time, and on the paper it might not seem so much, increasing the horsepower to 510 horsepower, 480 Newton meters, but all the things they've done with the chassis and the aerodynamics really moves this to a different game, a game changer. And therefore, the 991.2 GT3 has become old, and it's going to be extremely interesting to see what's going to happen with the second-hand prices of these vehicles. They are no longer the classic cars that everybody thought they were. This one might be the last, well, not sure. The 992 at least will be the last natural aspirated engine. If it's going to be the first or the second generation, well, that's the future to answer. And I think sports car manufacturers needs to, take a pause and rethink how fast should a road legal car be able to drive. Remember the good old days when we had that from the motorcycles in the Hayabusa time, where everybody discussed what is the maximum top speed for a vehicle. These days, the race for, let's say, lap times on the Nürburgring are getting on top of the head, where the manufacturer competes about speed, and I, as a driver, well, let's face it, I'm having difficulties to catch up. I'm sorry to say, but this is not a B-road tool. There are better cars from Porsche. This is too fast at high risk. Select another product from Porsche range for B-road drive. This is a 100% track car only. Sorry to say, but that is the ugly truth. But surprisingly, the comfort level from the suspension is extremely good. I would actually say lean's good if you ask me. But the noise level in the cabin is extreme, as it should in a race car. And well, if you would like to use your phone for an example, well, actually it will not work about 90 kilometers an hour. Well, that is if you would like to have a proper conversation with the person on the other line. This is noise cancelling headphones, something that I recommend all GT3 owners knows, that you always end up with these when you drive to the track day. Perhaps something you should take under consideration when you option out your GT3 with a Bose sound system, making a fool out of yourself to impress your dear luxury friends at the Michelin star restaurant. The gearbox is too fast. It's not too fast. It is harmonized with the engine, the screaming engine. Remember the Spider and GT4, for example. The engine wasn't built by the motorsport department. No, in fact, that was built by the 718 team. The chassis and aerodynamics, that was the motorsport part when it comes to the Spider and GT4. On the GT3, on the other hand, the engine is born in flucht. And that makes a huge difference because it's screaming at you, why are you not revving me? Why are you not pushing me? Why are you not driving too fast? Because that's the point, isn't it? It's not asking you to drive fast, it's asking you to drive too fast. Whew. This engine is just beyond, ladies and gentlemen. It is a proper flucht engine. Let me talk a bit. I am actually a bit afraid when I'm driving the new GT3. And bear with me, I would like to discuss this chart. The green axle is the knowledge and the performance. The yellow axle is the years. The blue line represents the knowledge of the driver, in this case myself. Also we have the red one, well, it's the self-image. When I started to drive and learn how to drive, well, I thought I was Damon Hill. I started over the years and I developed my skills, but it was not until my self-image dropped down and I realized, well, I'm not Damon Hill. That's when the real performance increases in the blue line and I really understand, okay, this is how you perform on a racetrack. I think this was the time when I started to go under 8 minutes with my 999 GT3 on Nürburgring. And please bear in mind, the car development, the black line has, well, always increased, but lately this year it has accelerated heavily. And this car is much faster than I am. The car has passed the blue curve long time ago. And some people, including myself, sometimes have said it's much more fun driving a car with less horsepower, pushing the car to the limit, and not the opposite. In this case, the car is pushing me, not the opposite. And I agree, more fun. Let's say my Cayman T. That was extremely nice to drive on the racetrack because I pushed the car. And buying this vehicle is like, well, I think it's comparable to the superbikes these days. You walk into the Ducati store, you say, I would like to buy the Panigale V2 or V4. And it's two type of categories of people. Well, one that are extremely good in driving and they can really use the performance of the V2 or the V4. And there is another category that, well, basically just want to kill themselves.
Try not to hold me down, feel alive when I'm in this town. Look at those beautiful stars, I wanna drive a faster car. Nothing can break me, no, nothing can break me. Try not to hold me down, feel alive when I'm in this town. Look at the beautiful stars, I wanna take a trip to Mars. Nothing can break me, no, nothing can break me. Look at the beautiful stars, I wanna drive a faster
This car is the easiest sell for Porsche ever. It is the world's fastest sports car. The corner speed cannot be measurable, I think. It is extreme, it's so... It is just the best car you can get today. But you're not Damon Hill or Hamilton, so you're not going to buy this car because you need the performance. No, the biggest and unique selling point for this car is that you look cool. The cool factor could not be mistaken. Parking your car, saying that you own and drive a GT3 is the coolest car you could have. It is proper manhood counseling. And when you drive your car looking as cool as I am, then make sure that you're on your way to track day or on education. Make sure that you are focused driving this vehicle and absolutely stay fit. This is extremely important because it takes a lot of force driving on a racetrack with such a race car as this is. I recommend that you take your length, in my case 180 centimeters, and then reduce 100 and then you will get 80, and that is a benchmark on what you need to weigh to make sure that you're fit to drive a race car at minimum at least. So if you are above that, I mean, take your length in centimeter, take off 100, and then you have your key weight to stay fit driving a race car like this. Otherwise, I'm sorry, you're not cool. Don't worry, I will not go through all the nonsense in this car that do not belong in a race car. And perhaps you think I'm a bit too harsh and aggressive in this video, but I have a purpose to that. I would like to take a responsibility to really explain what it is to own and drive a GT3 with the 992. It's a huge step, the 992, from the 991. It comes with a lot of responsibility and a lot of knowledge to drive it, and at least making a larger observation, and everything goes much faster in this car in comparison to the 901. But I would like to highlight one option, which is tricky, the Sport Chrono, the watch basically. If you tick that, you get a watch and the possibility from the equipment to buy a lap timer. The Sport Chrono was introduced in the 997, and if you take a 997 Carrera and compare the curb weight towards the 992 Carrera S with a manual gearbox, the 992 is 10 kilo lighter. The 997 is the heaviest 911 that has ever produced. And I don't think that I would like to pay a tribute to the heaviest 911 driving the fastest 911 ever. No, I'd rather pay a tribute towards the early 911s. I think it's fair to say that I've turned the blind eye towards the people option out their GT car with comfort seat. But at this point, it is not a matter of if you should or not. It's about safety, and I think it is irresponsible for Porsche to having an option of sport seats. The G-forces or corner speed this car produces, well, you need the bucket seats. End of story. They have changed them in comparison to the P11 918 bucket seats. The design is a bit more squared and the headrest is raised 10 millimeters. In comparison to stock sport seats, you sit 10 millimeters lower in these seats. Pccb Brakes. Let me talk about the most important thing. I find myself driving this vehicle and I go up to 100, 120, I totally brake because it's like an effort brake. It's like pausing your drive. It is so stable. Remember, the double wishbone suspension does not only perform the corner speed but also make the car extremely stable when you brake. And that is a huge improvement. I have never felt that I need to upgrade any brakes on any GT3 starting from the 996. Well, back then everybody upgraded their brakes, and I asked my teacher, Ulf, hey, why is everybody upgrading and I feel I don't need that? And he smiled at me and look, well, Janko, you actually have a proper braking technique. It is not a push of a button brake, it is an acceleration, a firm acceleration to make sure that the brake disc and the pads are sucked together and getting that optimal performance when you brake. Therefore, I have never considered that I overheat my brakes or need an upgraded brake, extra cooling, anything. The stock has always been perfect for me. For me, this is a question of weight and it's a question of color. Well, if you have a blue car like this, then the yellow caliper makes the Swedish flag, and I like that. But black calipers would look best on this vehicle. Conclusion, this is by far the fastest cars I've ever been driving. It's just beyond, ladies and gentlemen, but it is not a B-road car whatsoever. When you approach the corner, you bang, hit that wall by braking, you turn the steering wheel, and after you have turned the steering wheel, you are at jail speed. This is a track day, a track driving tool only. That makes me think, do we then need all the categories within the GT3 range with the Touring, Club Sport and the RS? We actually just need the RS and bang, only track tool. That's very important to understand. Anyone with just a mediocre knowledge will be extremely fast with this vehicle, and as soon you get a changing condition, let's say you get a damped condition or you get an obstacle or you have to turn, boof, then you will experience how fast this car is. And unfortunately, it feels like a superbike where we're going to have a lot of accidents. I sincerely hope I'm wrong in that case. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a Mona Lisa from Porsche. A clear point today where the 992 GT3 is a much faster car in comparison to my knowledge and my capability. Det är tur att vi spelar in när vi byter arm på klockan. Det visar ju bara att jag behöver... Det är så här jag gör, vänner. När jag behöver fokusera, ta om, misslyckas med tagningarna. Då byter jag arm på klockan bara för att det liksom sker en förändring. Så att jag kommer ur de gamla vanorna. Så, fick ni det på tejp också? Jag tror jag har gjort det förut.